You heard Tony Dungy talking about the early season schedule for the Houston Texans. They've got 5 playoff teams in their first 7 games. We're going to play a little game of Would You Rather, Chris, and we're going to start with this. Would you rather have the Texans' first half schedule or the Bears' second half schedule? They've got 7 playoff teams in the final 9 games. So would you rather load up with that gauntlet of playoff teams early or late? What's your preference?
Well, I'd rather deal with it late. I mean, I would rather give myself, especially, with these 2 teams in this scenario, first off, the Houston Texans, hey, they got some moving parts on their team. They've changed around a little bit. So to have that schedule early on in the season, and as hey, I put a lot of, a lot of credit into the early season, or what do I want to say? A lot of eggs into the one basket in the early year. Teams still believe. The teams that were playoff teams last year still think, oh, we're a playoff team this year. We're going to make a Super Bowl run. But that Houston Texans schedule it's brutal early on, to where it could throw your whole season around. If you mess up here or dominate one game and have a few end of the game mistakes, all of a sudden you look up and you go, man, we're 1-4 and we're going to have to fight for our life. The Bears, when it comes to that scenario, hey, they get a chance to kind of get their feet underneath them and, okay, let's get playing our best football by the time we start to get into the meat and potatoes of the Rams and the Saints and the Titans and the Vikings and that part of the schedule. Not to say any of the teams they play early on are like easy, but I do think I would rather have it that way than what the Houston Texans got as far as just being thrown into the fire right from week 1 and been in some tough road there for the first 5 weeks.
And look, there's a lot of reasons to want the early games to be easier than the later games. Look at the Jets last year. The Jets never got a chance to get things rolling. It didn't help that their starting quarterback had mono, but you go 1-7, just like the Falcons, 1-7, and then people forget that you go 6-2. And here's the other side of it. We got to move on to the next one. But if you're a coach that's in any type of trouble, that's in any type of danger, you want the hard games later. You want to get off to a good start, because you don't get off to a good start, you're gone during the season. You get off to a good start, you go 5-2, right? 6-2, 6-3, and you have it fall apart a little bit down the stretch. It's easier to overcome that than it is to overcome starting off 1-7, for example. And last year we thought Dan Quinn, the Falcons coach, at 1-7 going into the bye week was done and gone, and he got lucky. He wasn't. All right, would you rather face the Chiefs' tough start or the 49ers' difficult middle stretch? For the second straight year, the 49ers have another group of games where we're going to say, hey, if they get through that, they can do anything. They got through it last year. Would you rather come out of the gates as the defending Super Bowl champions with tough challenges, or would you rather be that Super Bowl runner-up with a tough slate of games in the middle of the year, Chris?
Yeah, well, this is a tough one. And again, normally I would prefer here. It's almost like I like both of these schedules a little bit, and I'm going to explain this. I mean, normally I would prefer the 49ers type of schedule. Yes, I mean, of course, hey, they're playing the Cardinals, the Jets, the Giants right off the bat. Those are 3 teams that we know the San Francisco 49ers are better than. So, again, even if you're not playing your best football, there's a good chance you can come out of those games and be, oh, we're 2-1. Oh, we're 3-0. We haven't even played good yet. I will say, though, that Kansas City Chiefs, their schedule, I don't know how to say this best. What I want to say, Mike, is this. If there's one team that I think is served best by having a tough early season schedule, I think it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's one of the few teams in football that actually favors them. And here's my reason why. Andy Reid, as we know, he's famous for bye week, right? After the bye week, early season trickery. Whoa, Andy Reid this offseason, he's been in the lab with his pen and the pad, and he's trying to get this damn offense off, right? Sorry, that was a Dr. Dre line. I just couldn't help it. But either way, he's going to have some new tricks and new schemes and things like that, to where we've seen them be a handful early in the season. And we saw last year teams start to catch on to their offense in the middle of the year, halfway at the end of the year. I think the Chiefs are one of those teams where I look at and go, they can overwhelm teams early in the year. Defenses are still kind of getting their feet underneath them, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, Tyreek Hill, Mahomes, wow, whoa, and I just feel like if there's one team in football that benefits early on in the year from having really tough schedule, it's Kansas City because I feel like their explosive firepower and their new plays and new things they do in the system could catch a team off guard.
Let me give you another angle here, too, to the extent there's any complacency whatsoever that affects the Kansas City Chiefs by virtue of the fact that they just won the Super Bowl. Having great teams right out of the gates, you don't have time to rest on your laurels. You don't have time to just show up and coast and win. You got to get right back at it right out of the gates, and that makes it easier for Andy Reid to get the attention of his players and get them focused on getting off to a great start. And avoiding a 1-3 or a 2-2 commencement to the season.
That's a tough one. Like, what did you think there? I mean, I know I normally would always go with the 49ers, and I'd rather have the tough middle stretch. But I do feel like with the Chiefs, it's a little different.
If I'm the defending champions, I want them to come at me. Come at me now. Let's go. Let's go do it now because I think it does help wake you up, and it does help avoid that sense of, this is going to be easy. There's no this is going to be easy if you're the Chiefs now that you have your schedule, and that may get the players even more focused. Not that there was any risk that these Chiefs wouldn't be, but we've seen it before. It's a human dynamic. You climb to the top of the mountain, you go back to the bottom, and what are you going to do? Oh, climb the mountain we just climbed. You got to find creative ways to get guys inspired to go through the grind and the fight week after week to go do the thing they just did. All right. Would you rather face the Patriots' tougher schedule in an easier division or the Buccaneers' easier schedule in a more challenging division, Chris?
Well, I mean, first off, I just want to challenge that question. Are we sure that that's the easier division? I mean, I know Tom Brady left.
The Saints?
The Saints, and keep naming the playoff
the
teams.
Buccaneers,
the Saints,
the Falcons, the Falcons, the Falcons.
I know. Well,
the Panthers have potential.
Well, I know, but they're definitely, because I look at last year's collective record, and the AFC East was better than the NFC South, and they had two playoff teams. So I want to be like, well, I don't like the question right off the bat by Pete Dimalitalitis. Okay? But I think, ultimately, what would I rather have in this year? I'd probably rather have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers scenario. Yeah, it's very close as far as what division is better. I'm just giving Pete a hard time there. But that New England schedule is just absolutely brutal. And not to say Tampa Bay's is easy, but they have some things going their way as far as some tough teams. They're playing at home. Even the early start of the season, yes, I know the Saints is tough, but the Panthers, the Broncos are a team that's still, figuring themselves out and on the rise, dangerous nonetheless. I think Tampa Bay's schedule is far, I don't want to say far easier, but man, the New England schedule is brutal. I mean, to me, I look at the New England schedule and think it's the toughest in football, and it has like 2 or 3 stretches where I just go, wow, what a year for Jarrett Stidham to take over the reins here, because this will not be easy.
All right, give me the easier schedule, because I'm not just competing in my division now with 3 wild card berths. I'm competing with the other teams in the other divisions in my conference.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.